Hi, welcome to Citizen Survival Plan. In today's video, I want to talk about radio privacy. How can we do this? What kind of radios do you need? Can we use encryption, scramblers? We're going to kind of go through it for the regular everyday person. Maybe you're not a ham, maybe you don't have a license yet. What can you do? We're going to jump right into it. Let's first start with privacy tones. Privacy tones on analog radios, whether it be a GMRS or ham, are not private. They work to get you access into a repeater and to tone other people out. Let's do a demo.
Okay, let's do a quick demo of CTCSS, or what we call privacy tones. Let's scroll up and get to a receive. This is a digital, but they work the same. Either it's DCS or CTCSS. They are exactly the same. They do the same thing. Let's turn this on, receive, and you'll see I'm on GMRS 1 here. That's my main, and you'll see all I'm going to do is tone this other radio out. Now I got to put it behind me so it works, so they're not too close, but I'm going to just key up on GMRS 1 here, and you'll see the radio is lighting up. It's showing that there's a signal, but all I did was tone this radio out. And that is all that privacy tones can do. Now, even if I go to this radio and turn on a transmit tone, and I have no tones on this radio, it will hear everything that I'm doing. I'm going to take this radio and key up on GMRS1, and I'm transmitting a tone. You can see the radio is picking it up, and you can even hear me because I have the tones turned off on this radio.
The next thing I want to talk about is a scrambler. Now, a lot of GMRS radios, I know Baofeng has scramblers. My radios that I sell on my site, they have two different modes of scramble, and it gives some obscurity to people listening in on your conversation. Now, the cool thing about scramblers that are analog is if you're a GMRS or ham, you can send your scrambled voice through a repeater. Now, I would not do this to public repeaters. It's going to make people mad, and people aren't going to understand why you're doing it. If you have your own personal GMRS repeater, maybe you don't have it listed, or it's yours. You could do whatever you want with it. I've run a scrambler through mine, and I'm going to do it here as a demo for you guys. This is some security, but it's not perfect because anybody else with a scrambler on their radio, and it's the same brand, like Baofeng's pretty popular. If I'm using that scrambler and somebody else with that Baofeng radio turns theirs on, they're going to hear what I'm saying. But does it offer some obscurity? Yes. And if you're talking and the other person doesn't, even if they have a scrambler and doesn't have it on yet, they're going to miss what you said when you send it through either Simplex, just radio to radio, or if you sent this through a repeater. Last note before I get into the demo, because everyone's going to be screaming about the rules in this video. This is technically not allowed. I wouldn't say it's illegal, but it's not allowed, and it will aggravate people. But in case of some sort of emergency and you just need to mask what you're saying really quick, this can be used.
Okay, so let's do a quick demo on a scrambler. So this is a Baofeng K5 Plus, and let's scroll the whole way back and get to its scramble feature. So there's actually 3 modes of scramble on this. I said 2 earlier. So let's just do mode 1. This is now has a SCR on the main. So that means we have scramble mode on. I'm going to step off. I'm going to turn this up a little bit, and you're going to see this radio is not going to understand what I'm saying until I come back and turn that on. So let's go ahead and do that. As you can see, that's a pretty cool feature. It does mask everything you're saying. You really can't understand what's coming through. And let's go ahead and show this. Let's do mode 1 so we can match it. And this now has its scramble mode on. And I'm going to step off again and just show you that both of these have it on, and now these radios can understand each other.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
One thing I've noticed about the scramble mode when you run these is there's kind of like a high-pitch audio noise to it when you're running the scrambler, and they're both on like that. But remember, no one else can hear what you're saying. Okay, let's go ahead and do a demo of the Scrambler going through the repeater. I have the Scrambler on here, and it's on here, and then we'll turn this on with no Scrambler.
Test, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry if the audio is a little bit bad. We're just trying to get our point across here. Okay, so here's no Scrambler, and I'm going to step into the other room to do this. Okay, as you can see, you can send the Scrambler through a repeater or use it on Simplex. It gives you some security.
All right, here's the next thing we're going to do for radio security is I am going to use a DMR radio for this. And what I'm going to do, God, I can hear the hams on the other end screaming about this. But people use ham radios all the time on GMRS. And if you're a GMRS user and you're not a ham yet and you don't want to start transmitting on the ham frequencies, which I'm going to get into later in this video, here's something you can do that is pretty much legal. In my opinion, you're not going to get in trouble for this. You're going to put the GMRS radio frequencies into a DMR radio, and you're going to do an analog set. And then you are going to do a digital set. So you're going to take all those GMRS frequencies and you're going to make a digital set of frequencies in there. That way you can have voice on GMRS and you can do texting. Now, texting on GMRS is legal. You can send digital text messages on GMRS frequencies. I'm going to show you really quick what that sounds like right here to an analog radio.
Okay, let's do a quick demo of that. You can see I'm on GMRS 1 digital, and this is simply GMRS channel 1. That's the frequency right there, and I have it set to a digital mode. That way I can send text messages on GMRS. Now, this is technically not allowed because this is a ham radio, but no one will know the difference. All digital text messages coming across these frequencies are going to sound the same to everyone else. Let's just do one of my quick text messages I have here. I'll do on my way. And let's make sure that this is on. And we're on GMRS 1 there. And let's go ahead and send this. So this is my own network inside of this radio. So these text messages would only be readable by other people on my network. And that's what that sounds like. It's just a little data going over those frequencies. Now, like I said before, this radio was actually on the network, but it's not on. I just wanted to show the sound of that. But this and this are on the same network, so I could text between these two DMR radios on digital GMRS frequencies.
Now, you are technically supposed to only text on GMRS with a certified GMRS radio, but no one will ever know the difference. That little data packet going through those frequencies isn't going to sound any different than using a GMRS certified radio or not. That's why I do not care about using a DMR radio to achieve this goal. With this, I don't need a cell phone to hook to it to achieve what I'm trying to do, is send text messages straight from the radio. This is secure, or at least obscure, because I have a TX contact group, I have a color code, I have a slot operation, and I am running my own DMR IDs between the two DMR radios. So only the radios you set up with this information will be receiving these text messages. I am better than the average person with radio, at least I think so. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't know how to intercept these text messages or a voice transmission over digital, even if it's not encrypted on DMR. I wouldn't know how to intercept this. Is there someone out there that might be able to do this? Maybe. I don't know who they are. I've never met this person, but I'm sure it's possible with enough time, money, and equipment. So let's do a demo of digital text messaging on a DMR radio on digital GMRS frequencies.
Okay, so these two radios on their bottom channels are both on GMRS channel 1, and it's set to digital mode, as you can see there. And we're going to send a text message. Now, not only these are on digital modes, but these radios are set up in the software to be on the same contact list with the same talk group IDs and numbers. So it's not encrypted, but only these two radios are going to text each other. Even if I have another radio, on the same frequency, which I don't right now, but you cannot send to everybody. They have to be programmed together, which gives you some security. So let's go ahead and send a text message on this. Now they might be too close, so I might have to step apart, but we're going to try it. Let's just send the word yes. And then there's my network, TAC. Let's go ahead and send to my network, the TAC network, which this radio is on. So here is our message, and we sent yes to it. And the other radios, the analog, can't decipher what that is. And my other DMR radios would need to know the information programmed into these to also be able to text with each other. Even if this is on the same frequency, it will not be able to read that text message.
Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is encryption. Encryption is the most secure method of voice communications on radio. This is a simplex way to do encryption. There is ways to do it via another DMR repeater. That repeater, in my opinion, would have to be your DMR repeater to run the encryption through it. I would not do it through public DMR repeaters. Also, if you're not a ham and you're watching this, you can't really access the DMR repeaters anyways because you need a DMR ID, and in order to get that, you need your ham call sign. But if you're a regular person and you're not a ham, you can buy DMR radios and set simplex encryption up for yourself. This is very secure because not only does somebody need to break through your talk group, your DMR ID, your talk group ID, your color code, your time slot, all that stuff, then now you're now piling on top encryption. And you can use really good encryption on these radios, and I don't know of anybody that could even break this. I even think governments would have a hard time breaking through this, and they would spend a lot of time trying to figure this out. My opinion. Okay, so we're not going to do this on GMRS frequencies because there's so few frequencies on GMRS. You wouldn't want to do it there. People would hear you doing it, and this is illegal. So even if you're not a ham, I would recommend doing it on ham frequencies because there's so many. Ham frequencies on the 2 meter and the 70 centimeter band is like an ocean of frequencies. GMRS is just like a little pond. People are going to catch you doing this. Set your channels low on these bands, away from ham repeaters. My opinion is if you are not a ham and you're transmitting radio to radio on ham frequencies, you're not going to bother anybody. Stay off of the ham's repeaters and just stay away from everybody out in the middle of the ocean of frequencies on the ham bands. I try not to get into too much of legality on this, but in my opinion, nobody gives a shit if you are transmitting on simplex ham frequencies. Is it technically illegal? Yes. Does the FCC care? I'm a ham. I don't care. And I don't think the FCC really cares either. In order to get a violation, you need to be aggravating people on repeaters and jamming frequencies before anyone is going to bother you. Also, I set these up in our radios for our customers as emergency channels, so when SHTF happens or whatever, you can use them. Okay, enough about the rules. My God, I just know how many people comment about stuff like that. Encryption. Let's do a demo just on the encryption. It's super secure, and this is pretty much the way to go if you're looking for absolute security.
Okay, so here we're going to talk about just who can hear you, first of all, on a digital channel. So this is a ham channel. I am a ham, but I'm not throwing my call tag or anything out. I'm just on a Simplex channel. This is an analog radio on the same frequency, and if we're going to key up, that's what you hear. This radio cannot decipher what this digital radio is doing. It can't decode it at all. So these are just completely out. These two radios are on the same channel, and I even labeled them the same, but they are on different talk groups done differently inside the radio. So even if I key up, you could see it sort of picked it up there, but this radio, even though it's on the same frequency, the talk groups are different between these radios, so this one is out anyways. If I'm this user trying to listen to what this person is saying, I need to know their talk group, color code, and information to listen. These two radios are programmed together. This radio and this radio are on the same talk group on the same channel. And you can see they can talk to each other. I can talk right into it and it works. So now that is established, let's do encryption. One thing about encryption that I want to mention is it is technically illegal to encrypt radios unless you post your encryption key to the internet or you have a business license from the FCC to run encryption. The cool thing is you can turn it on or off, indicated by the shield. So run your digital channels in your talk groups for security, and when the time is needed, you can always just kick your encryption on. I don't recommend transmitting all the time via encrypted radio, but I want you to know how to do it, and I like having encryption for when I need it. So let's go ahead and turn the encryption on this, and turn the encryption on, well, actually, let me just do this first. Test, 1, 2, 3. So this radio's encryption wasn't on, this one was, and that's what you would hear. It's basically, you get nothing. So let's go ahead and turn the encryption on. This is how our radios come. You hold for encryption, and it's your personal encryption key. All the encryption keys have to be done the same. So it's a personal encryption key, meaning that every radio has its own encryption key. So somebody even figured out that you were running encryption. They couldn't just turn their encryption on. It needs to be exactly the same as the other radio. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. And now we are running encryption on both radios. And you can see my talk group information and stuff in there. It's coming through from the other radio. So in my opinion, just having a DMR radio and running them in talk groups is going to be pretty secure just to start. And if you need absolute security, program them up with encryption. I have an entire other video on how to do that. I will link it here and in the description of this video. That way you can program your own, or you can buy one from us and we do it for you.
Well, thanks for stopping by the channel, and thanks for watching our video. These videos are not intended to teach people how to break the rules, but they are for educational purposes. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you in the next video.